is the flip-flop. Did she seem distressed to you? Yes, you could say that. She was not in a good place, mentally speaking. I see. Let's move on to the events that took place during dinner. Apparently you made a comment about your mother's drinking habits. For her own good, someone needed to comment. I felt I had to say something. I thought she was drinking far too much. You think this has anything to do with her difficulties in coping with your sister's condition? Almost certainly. Interesting. I gather that your father rather lost his temper at one point. As usual, he always loses his tempers. That was nothing out of the ordinary. Your father often loses his temper at dinner. My father loses his temper no matter where he is. I see. Now I need to ascertain your location at the time of your sister's death. Where were you when you heard the maid scream? Ground floor. It looked like a little storage room, didn't it? Or a foyer. I was in a storage room next door. Oh, thank God I made that call. That's right, George did mention to me that you were in there with him. As I said earlier, we've applied our initial search of the property. During the search, we've discovered some pages from your mother's diary, saying that she was having a hard time dealing with your sister's condition. In some places, she even seems to wish for her death. Does that surprise you? Yeah, I'm lost for words. I'm curious about the murder weapon. The poison had apparently been sprinkled upon some cakes which the maid had prepared. However, you also must have passed through the pantry in order to speak to the maid in the kitchen. Of course, your sister may have done this herself, if it was a suicide. It is all very interesting. I'll be completely honest with you now, Mr. Bruce. Your behaviour this evening has given me cause for suspicion. While there is some suspicion regarding your father, I don't currently regard him as a serious suspect. I am slightly curious about the maid, but I doubt she was involved in this. I think I will also be taking another look at the evidence surrounding your mother. Despite her condition, I don't believe your sister committed suicide. Now, as for what happened next, I'm going to ask you to come with me to the station for further questioning. Am I under arrest? Not currently, Mr. Bruce, unless you want it that way. And I will need to be speaking to your mother again. A verdict of suicide seems low and unlikely, I'm afraid. You and your mother were both taken in for questioning, and you did your best to convince them of your innocence and of your mother's guilt. However, the police soon discovered that you had an obvious motive to want your sister dead. From that moment on, you were the prime suspect. The trial was a long and difficult one. Finally, the jury found you guilty of the crime. You were given a life sentence for the murder of your sister, and only would be spending the rest of your life sleeping behind bars. In your dark, dank little cell there was nowhere to hide or to escape from the nightmares when they came. The deed itself had taken possession of your soul, and perhaps this was her final revenge. The thing with that, it's an interesting verdict. I like it because it's going to have lots of bit of replay value and stuff like that. But for what made him suspicious of me, as much as it made him suspicious of me, you know, being suspicious of someone means jack shit in a courtroom. Unless they physically had my fingerprints on the diary, made me sound like a liar, you know, where I'd contradicted myself. I don't think there would have been much basis to do him on there, to be honest. But interesting little game, and I'm going to have a few more looks at that. I'm definitely going to have a few more playthroughs at that. See how it goes. Interesting game. And for that, I will see you on the flip-flop.